All right. Hello, everyone. Dire news. Last week was practice. You'll, if you're paying attention, bit. There might be something missing. Unfortunately, unfortunately, I may or may not have apparently forgotten to save. But hey, it doesn't matter. Two words. Not two words. Two statements. One, I was wanting to make changes anyways. I wasn't happy with it actually. I was definitely going to be making changes anyways. And two, delete your art. Very least, if you delete your art, like I have, you don't feel bad when you lose stuff. So, let's just get straight into it. Welcome to the stream, everyone. I'm your host, Isaac MCCanary. We're going to. I did do the thing, and I would need to do this more, so I need to leave this open on the side more, like I'm hanging out with people and stuff. I was actually able to do a little bit of side work anyways, to do a little bit of cleanup. And I want to do cleanup on the side so that way I'm not focused as much on fixing things and instead being able to focus on making a lot of the forward momentum that I want to be doing whenever we're doing animation. Like I don't want to be stuck and I'm going to need to be doing more work on it outside of when I'm actually doing work on it, so that way I'm keeping a good pace and this doesn't take 2 years to make. In fact, I do think this will be done by fall. I do think it'll be done by fall. I've been making a lot of good progress and keeping up with it. As long as I have no more moments like I did just now, I should be able to get it done before the end of the year. Um, for real, I don't think it's going to take that long. I really don't. I think I will be fine for that. I do think I will be fine for that. That said, oof. Just oof. It was quite an experience to go, "Oh no. Oh no." I like reopened it because I wanted to like do a little bit of side work and I went, "Oh no. It's gone. It was gone and I didn't mean for it to be gone." It wasn't supposed to be gone. It wasn't supposed to be gone, but it was, which was not great. Okay, need that for a place marker. Well, actually, I need a couple of things. So I need to figure out. Yeah, I'm trying. One of the big things I myself want to get better at, just generally speaking, is being able to pay a little bit better attention at where certain things move, where certain things go. So that way, when I'm doing, so if I'm doing here, if I'm doing essentially pose to pose, I can keep things from losing too much shape and size. Because I do think that as it has been, as I've kind of discussed, I have it open. I have it open this time. I have the animator survival kit actually opened. Um, they talk a lot and actually have it to this page. It's funny because it's one of the main things that I'm focused on, and I need to get back to rereading it. I was reading it for a while. I have another book that I'm reading right now, but it is one that I need to keep reading. To like set aside some time to be like, I'm gonna focus on reading it and just read it because it would be helpful for me to read it. Um, but one of the things that I've already like kind of picked up on. And I'm like, okay, this is something I want to be able to get better at, that I need to get better at a little bit, is being able to kind of gauge. Might be something I will do. I'm gonna try dots. Being able to keep the pose to pose, be able to work straight ahead in pose to pose to get, obviously the best effect of both. So that way I'm constantly, because the benefit of pose to pose is it's keeps you in line. It keeps you in track. It allows you to keep forward momentum on a piece. So that way you're not getting distracted or getting too off too off base with a piece. This is something I'm trying. I'm gonna try dots. Dots should help me keep better track of where I'm putting certain things. Do that. And again, I think one of the things that I would probably do different the next time I do animation is I would be maybe doing more sketches, figuring out how to do more sketch tweens. I would like to do more sketch tweens, so that way I can like lay things like motion out and then focus on going back and being able to clean things up that way. I think that would help a ton. I do think these dots are helping. Making these dots is helping quite a bit. Because really, what I need more than anything else is a way to keep better track of how certain things move, if that makes sense. Because sometimes I think I lose track very, very easily just from the necessity of it, right? Like, because when things move, it's harder to keep track of them a little bit. Especially with stuff like this, where it's like, okay, I need to keep track of where that is. And then this was the collar there. And I could go back to another frame, but really this is a new frame. This is a different frame, so it should look different. Because things have moved since then. Like, things aren't exactly the same. At least they shouldn't be. Moved. Motion does. Want we want the cracker in shot. We want to make it clear that it's a cracker. I might actually we're gonna move this, and the reason why is I want the hand in shot. I do want the hand in shot. I don't want necessarily duplicate it. It's really what I want to do. Try something like that. Maybe something like that. Because what I want is for it to have the other hand there. I want to still have the other hand there, so that way when they pull it, it'll look like a popper. I like that. Actually, I kind of like that inside. Because the poppers usually have like an inside. They're not just flat on the bottom. They've got a little bevel in there. Hello, sir. My cat hates when I draw now. I don't know what it's been. He's been particularly bad about it recently. He hates when I draw. The boy hates when I draw. Why do you hate when I draw? Why do you hate when I draw? What? 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 Why do you want? Why do you hate? Don't hate when I draw. Oh, thank you. He still hates when I draw. Come on. You're making this difficult. What do you want? He's like, you can't have that much stuff in your lap. You can't have that much stuff in your lap. I have to be here too. I'm like, no, you don't. He's like, yes, I do. Really try to do better at keeping track of the size. It's difficult to do the same thing twice. It's difficult, but I still gotta try. I still gotta use reference and everything. What? You're being very awkward right now. You're in a very awkward spot right now. Buddy. Buddy. Is that where you want to be? You're making this difficult. I guess he's comfortable. I guess he's comfortable. I have to live like this now. Sorry, he's decided. He's comfortable right here. Here, then let me at least get this up. Here you go. Yes. Brat. I forgive him, but he is being a brat. I believe, which one was my hand? That's control. That's my hand. Ugh. Don't worry about that. It's fine. She's not finished. I am still learning all the shortcuts, which is nice. Knowing the shortcuts helps quite a bit, actually. Especially when I'm using this drawing screen. There's some nice... It's got a bunch of built-in macros and built-in buttons. Just convenient. Think of the shape. One of the things I should do as a bit of practice, a little bit, is like I just need to take like a design or like a character design or something, and like just even a really simple one, and try to redraw it. I know that's one way that would help quite a bit actually, is if I did that. It probably would help a decent amount. Just be able to take a design and redraw it and redraw it and redraw it until I'm happy with it. I know drawing things in different perspectives helps a lot too, or it can. that real fast. And I just need to fill this in. Thank you, sir. And he's not in my lap no more. He was done. He just decided he was done. And really, this is just an attempt at doing animation. This is my first major project I've done in a long time. If I can finish it, when I finish it, I'm gonna say when I finish it, not if I can finish it, when I finish it. I mean, largely it's just a goal to be like, hey, I can make an animation. I can, in fact, make an animation. And anything that I learn from this is going to be largely important. Actually, just ever so slightly. Just ever so slightly. Edge that up. Trying to think if that is the right amount to move. Maybe move the mouth up just slightly. Use the tools to your advantage. Make her more smug. Make her more smug. Make her more smug. You like that? Try to clean up some of these artifacts. That is one of the things with animate that I've noticed is it's really easy to get at artifacts in there, unfortunately. You gotta be really careful. When you like erase something, you gotta make sure that you've actually erased all of it, because it's easy to miss stuff. Yep, that seems right. Here we go! Okay, so one of the things, I felt like it was too fluid. I felt like it was too fluid. Um, like, there's just something, it it wasn't fluid, it was that it didn't feel natural, right? Like it didn't have an acceleration. It was lacking acceleration, is what I felt like the animation was lacking. So I need to figure out how to add a little bit of acceleration to it, I feel like. You might do a little bit longer of a hold. I'm gonna do one more frame of holding. Makes sense. Much movement. I wanted to. I needed to ever just so slightly. Need this point to be here. This point to be here. I just wanted to ever so slightly. Want it to just kind of arc down a little bit. I just want it to bend down a little bit. I'm not looking to move it a bunch. I'm looking to just ever so slightly twist everything. Down that drop that down slightly because I want to give the effect, the feeling that she settles and then drops her hand. Like settle and then drop a hand. And right now we've got, let's see, we've got that. So I want like maybe a hold frame. One, two. If I do 3 or 4, that would be like 8 frames. That'd be 8 total frames. Is maybe what we go for. Need to remember I need to be willing to turn that off if I need to. Always be adjusting your reference material if you need to. That really goes for anything, honestly. Again, animation is really, really good for being able to give you practice to be able to start. If you want any excuse to get into animation, it could be to feel like you don't do a good enough job drawing the same thing over and over again. I regret I regret not having better faith in the process, if that makes sense. Because I always thought I couldn't really ever really do animation, at least not technical frame by frame drawn animation, because I was like, yeah, but I don't draw consistently enough. Like I feel like I have struggled and did struggle a lot to draw the same thing. It was really difficult for me to do that. And animation has got me much, much more proficient at being able to do exactly that. I draw the same things over and over again better than I did before I tried to do animation. And I'm sure there's still tricks, but at least from my experience, having to draw it frame by frame both looks and works better than trying to cheat it. Something about trying to cheat it never quite worked aesthetically for me. So having to actually like learn how to redraw something frame by frame has given me a lot more knowledge base than trying to just cheese it, essentially. I have been complimented on my ability to keep a steady hand, and that still only really comes from being able to practice. And a lot of that practice comes from trying again and again and again. I do think that Gartic Phone is a good opening spot to get into animations. It's a lot of it just tells you exactly what you need to do. Gartic Phone gives you everything that you need to start making animations without having to worry about the technical element of having to make animations. All it says, all it asks of you is try to draw a series of pictures and make them move. That's all you really need. That's all you really need to start learning animation. All you need is the capacity to start analyzing how a string of pictures can make something move. That's really all you need. And movement is always the goal. Movement can be from point A to B, it can be something growing, it can be something shrinking. Animation is just about conveying motion and change. Really, animation is all about conveying change. As long as you're conveying change, however you do it, however you manage to do it, you've succeeded. To be able to get kind of the steady hand that you need just takes getting comfortable with the tools that you have. And really, the biggest thing to fight whenever it comes to that is just self-discipline. And yes, fight yourself. Fight yourself. Only you truly hold thyself back. Not let yourself think that you can't do something just because you can't do it now. Also, never let yourself think you're like too old to do pretty much anything. You still can breathe, you're not too old. You can accomplish things, no matter what, no matter your age. Oh no. Oh no. Might have to fix that. We might have to fix this. How did I... Oh, I see what happened. I forgot to draw one line. And this is... Always remember, guys. If you want anything, if you want any butterfly effect kind of reason to pay attention to detail, here it is. You miss one thing and then you're like, ah, fuck. I was wondering this. I was like, this feels wrong. This does not feel like how I had that drawn. And sure enough, it is not at all how I had it drawn. This would be where this goes. So yeah, I think it was something more like that, and then you have that. Something more like that. the, watch the joy drain from her face. She's reminded that she's not supposed to be happy about it. Same thing. Might even try something. So largely, I just want it to stay the same. Now what we do, the power move you. Move you just a little bit. Yeah, that's where I want to be. A little bit of motion there. Bit there. One of the things I am trying to get a little bit better at is I notice that I do not connect my lines. I don't know why, I just like, I wouldn't even say it's laziness per se, I just kind of like don't quite draw a line out quite as far as I could. Which I'm trying to do more, as you can tell. Like, I'm trying to be like, oh, okay, I need to actually all the way to the end. All the way down to the end. Follow through is incredibly important in a lot of things, both technical and personal. Follow through is a great way to make sure you do anything effectively. Without it, you'll just do you'll always fall a little bit short. Follow through is incredibly important in everything. It's funny, is one of the first examples of follow through that I was ever given and told was shooting a shotgun. Ironically, shooting a shotgun is kind of a good comparison. You gotta, the follow through with it is when you fire, you don't just stop moving. You actually keep training your target, because in reality, when you shoot it, not all of the pellets come out at the same time. They all come out in a sequence. So if you shoot and then stop moving, all of the pellets will just shoot where at the point that you stop moving to. But if it's a moving target like a clay pigeon, you want to keep following it so that way the spray keeps going with it, even though you've just took a shit ton of recoil. Like, follow through just helps keep you in line with whatever you're doing. And in the case of art, or in the case of this, the way that I've gotten kind of proficient with being able to make certain kind of steady strokes is that follow through. You want to like kind of just train, muscle memory your body to be able to do certain kinds of action and motion just in one solid swoop. It's one solid swoop. And reality is you should be getting to a point that you're able to do that. You're able to do that in one motion. You're able to do it in like one kind of like steady motion that isn't fast. It's actually slow. It's very deliberate. Perfect. I want to make sure she looks tired. Perfect. I feel like last time I kind of lost that effect with her. I don't know what happened, but I just lost that kind of like look of like boredom. I'm trying to maintain the look of boredom that she has. But yeah, the irony of being able to get discipline in making a line or a stroke or anything is that it is not you don't go fast. I think it's easy to conflate that because I've been at a place that I would like try to do certain things and I could only do it in one steady motion if I like went kind of quick at it, but I was very imprecise. But I didn't have like both the muscle training, the wrist training, and the patience and the discipline to be able to realize that you really want something to go exactly where you want it. You have to kind of train yourself the patience and the steadiness of your hand to be able to get that right in where you want it to go, which kind of requires the use of your whole hand and arm and wrist and everything. You're not just using one part. See, like this. Nah. You also need to be cognizant, I guess, of knowing your limitations on where to do certain kinds of strokes and stuff like that. Kind of like, that. I find that kind of like using your index finger to like point where you're going. You kind of like are pushing the pressure with your index finger to guide where you want to go, and then using your thumb or I use the palm. That's why I'm a palm dragger. I'm a palm dragger. That's what I am. I use the palm of my hand to kind of steady the rest of it. But I actually use the index finger a lot to kind of like point out where I want the line to go, which helps me a decent amount to try to get that exactly where I want to go. And that's what helps me. I'm sure everybody has a slightly different way in which they control their pen or pencil or whatever you're using. A lot of that for me comes from, the background and illustration that I have. I very much like a utensil. I like a fine tip utensil that I can do lines with. It's something I'm very comfortable with. I don't know what that shape is supposed to be. It's a bird. Bird. Like this. A bird. And that's where, you just gotta, you get used to certain kinds of input. Hello, Bread! Bread! Bread is back. Don't worry, Bread, you didn't miss anything. I worked on this last week and forgot to hit the save button, so I got to do it again. You get to see me do it again. And this time I might do it better. It wasn't bad, it just wasn't what I wanted. The classic. The classic artist thing. We've just been working on We've been working on this animation for a bit. I know. I think once I do this animation, there's a second animation. There's a couple of different things I want to do. I think for a mainstay, I do want to keep doing animation no matter what. And there's a couple ideas I have. One of the ideas I have is maybe that Triella fight, but that feels like still... That feels like the kind of thing that if I decide to do it, I'm either going for it all or nothing. And I think I want to wait at least like one or two more projects before I do that. I want to like get some in-between projects because again, I think that doing two very long projects in a row, I'd want to do like a couple of I think I'd want to do a couple of shorter animations, like just like 10 or 15-second animations for a while, just because like animation takes a lot of time and I do not want to do long animations every single time. I want to kind of build up a little bit more practice and strategy on how I want to approach an animation. I want to read more of the damn book, damn it. Maybe we'll read ahead. Maybe we'll read a little bit. For example, so I was reading about pose to pose versus or straight ahead versus pose to pose. Here's something that they kind of break down that which was kind of what I was like thinking of, right? This is something I was kind of thinking of when I was getting into animation more. Is a lot of this is you get your keyframes, which is what I'm doing right now. So like I'll get a little bit and then I'll draw a keyframe, right? And then you break it down into maybe your fours or your eights or whatever you need to, and then you do your tweens there. That is an option. I have not been doing that because largely what I've been doing is I've been working between my eights essentially. So what? What, Bread? Why are you screaming? Why? This is a very important resource. Wait, why? Oh. I almost said Salamat Pagi. You know, no, you want Sata Andegi. Sata Andegi. So, let's try our man going to the blackboard again. What do I do first? The answer, the keys. Storytelling drawings or positions that have to be there to show what's happening. Put it where you can see it so it reads. So, that's what I've been doing. I have, for example, if we go back to my animation, the last keyframe I was working on was this one. This reads that she has it in her hand. Now I need to get it from her grabbing it to her pulling it down to her hands. Yeah, that's the goal. That's what keyframes are. Keyframes give you it's a roadmap. There are dots. There are dots that you connect to when you're doing an animation. They don't always have to be the same. The thing also that's key about keyframes, ironically, is that they are about capturing a moment. They're about capturing a moment, and those moments don't have to be equally spaced apart. That is what's important to remember about keyframes. They're not equally spaced apart. They're just key points in action to inform you what your character should be doing at that exact second. Is what a keyframe does. What do we do next? Any other drawings that have to be in the shot? Obviously, he has to take steps to get over to the chalk. So you make the contact position on the steps where the feet are touching the ground, where there's no weight to them yet. The heel is just contacting the ground, as with the fingers just contacting the chalk. They haven't closed on the chalk yet. Interesting. So points of contact are good for that. That's probably just a reference point, though. That's just him saying, like, that's a... You want... You're creating reference points for yourself. These are ideas of what are good reference points for him, and generally good reference points for anyone. But it needs to be a point of reference, nonetheless. If we act all this out, we might find he takes 5 steps to get to the chalk and bend down. I notice that when I act it out, I automatically pull up my left pant leg as I bend down. Then I put my hand on my knee before my hand contacts the chalk. I would make it extreme where the hand just contacts the pant leg before it pulls the pants. Pulls up the pants. Pulls the pants. Oops. These will be our extremes. We're working rough, sketching things in light, although we probably have made rather good drawings of the keys. Oopsie! This is a learning lesson. Do not do what I'm doing. Do not do what I'm doing. You need to be. I think at this point, I need to be doing sketch frames still. I need to be doing sketch frames still. And what that means is I need to actually. I need to probably in the future draw as many frames in Fresco or a sketch program because I don't think Animate really has a sketch potential. Or if it does, I need to make a sketch cover. So I need to do like a sketch layer, like in usually another color or a lighter color or whatever. Like just something sketchy. I need to do something sketchy for my frames. And then I make a frame over that is my trace frame that cleans everything up and everything like that. I like know that. So really, one of the big mistakes I've made here that I really can't go back on, I really shouldn't go back on, is trying to start doing sketching from here in. Like, there's no point unless I really feel like I need it. But I have a working, layer. I'm working everything on one layer. And he's not wrong. Those sketch frames probably would have helped me because they would have given me the space to be able to make something rough, and then I can really hone in and focus in making sure every frame looks at least better if I would have had those sketch frames. Because now I don't have that frame of reference. I have to do everything from scratch every time. And that is your worst work. Your worst work is your first draft of everything and anything you always do. Now, to be fair, you don't always get a second draft. But if you can afford a second draft, you should afford the second draft. But that's if you can afford it. Sometimes if you ever probably wonder how could they animate something so bad, they probably couldn't afford their second draft or barely could afford their second draft. Like that's one thing that I think people need to remember, especially when you're working on anything, is like if you're working on something that can utilize or needs multiple drafts, um, those drafts are still work. And they're work that go towards the final product, but they're not the final product, is the problem. You need to know that's why it's still important to remember what a first draft is, but then also be able to know how to hone yourself to a good final draft. You can't make more than two drafts sometimes. A lot of times. Arguably, you can't make more than one draft, which I think is something that we were kind of not taught very well when we were kids. Is that I think I was taught with the assumption that you would always be able to be afforded a second draft. Sometimes you're not. You're not afforded a second draft. Sometimes you only do get one draft. Sometimes. Not always that case, but sometimes you only get the one go. And sometimes you can just do something in one go. Totally take when you can do something on a first draft, but always give yourself. I think ultimately I would like to get to a place that I can afford myself a rough draft and then a second draft. That is ideal. I think that's the ideal. Well, no, the ideal is one draft. The ideal is first draft, but the practical is a second draft. So everything is made on a second draft. Because that means that you're not stuck redesigning anything if it turns out that your first draft didn't work. And in some cases, in some ways, you could look at this and say, well, this is your first draft, anyways, and you've been going back and fixing parts of it as you go. So, whatever the case, whether you make a first draft and then draw over it, or make a first draft and then edit it, sometimes you just have to have a first draft to get something down, anyways. Just always remember, you need the restraint is always a good thing to have when you're making something, anything. Showing an element of restraint will help a lot to keep you on track. It'll keep you from getting distracted by your own work. It'll keep you from getting distracted by other things in the work. Being able to hold yourself back to like adding anything and everything can really help a lot to keep you on track to make sure you actually get a reasonable time to finish a project. At least that's my goal. That is my personal goal. It's a lot of currently my goal is to figure out how to do production. Doing production is something that I've gotten to a point that I'm like, well, I ain't getting any younger and keep on wanting to make things, so production is kind of where I'm landing. Production and direction are the two things that I have the biggest interest in no matter what it is I'm working on. Main reasons being production allows me to make sure that things are getting done, and direction allows me to stretch creative process, you know, like it allows me to practice my creative muscles. The big distinction to always remember between production and direction is that production, you have to make sure that things are getting done, and direction, that things are getting figured out. Thank you, Bread. I appreciate it. My only real regret is I feel slightly old because I had to figure out some things in my life. That's okay. Feel like if I would have been able to start this at a much, much younger age, um, that would have been nice, but I didn't. I couldn't in a lot of ways. I didn't have a lot of things that I have now. I'm not saying I'm necessarily secure. That ain't necessarily the case, but I certainly have the discipline and the maturity to be able to say, like, fuck it, I know what at least I want to go for, so I'm going to go for it. That helps a lot, and it takes time to figure that out. Nobody figures that out until probably late 20s at best, because I didn't figure it out after 26, when my brain stopped growing inside of my skull. The only thing that was left was figuring out how to fucking actually get security, which we don't got to talk about it here, but just know that I think I am overall in a actual more secure place than I've been in other parts of my life. It unfortunately is not necessarily the most secure position I've ever been in my life, but as far as like what I want to do, as far as like being able to have the capacity to do it, being able to grow it and keep up with it and maintain it, then yes, I actually am in a very secure spot. God knows I know plenty of my own friends who had to drop different things, and I still respect and support them if they ever decide to do them more, and respect and appreciate that they're still willing to do stuff with me in light of the fact that they couldn't keep doing their own things for any various reasons. And I do maintain that I encourage them, and if anything, would like to ever extend a bit of an apology and be like, hey, I will do a better job of supporting my friends because they've done a fantastic job supporting me and they've deserved all of the support. To which I will probably not be available Friday because I'm gonna go to an art show that one of my friends is hosting. James's wife, Tara, who's a fantastic artist, who did do streaming for a while, She hasn't recently. I don't know if she's going to come back to it or not. That is totally her decision, and I respect it either way, whatever she decides to do. Um, you know, her stuff, her stuff, do her stuff, your own thing. But she has an art show that she is actually double check. I think she's participating in it, but might also be running it. It'll be in KC. If you're in KC, should go check her out. I'll try to look up the details here and like go there. I don't know if it's by invite though or not. That's the other thing is I was formally invited to it, so I'm like, it might only be by invite. I don't actually know. If it is, then I apologize. And anybody who's been invited, I hope you go. Yeah, I've been invited to an expedition featuring character design and exploration. Is at the Apex Arts Center. Okay. So yeah, it might be a closed event. Sorry, you can go, maybe, but I don't know if it's an open event. And if it's not an open event, sorry, don't suddenly show up. It might. I don't know. I was formally invited. You might need a formal invitation to be able to participate. Actually, to which I apologize. I know. I don't know. I just got invited. Go ahead and fix that. Eh, or two actually. I wasn't paying attention. I just made a line. Thought it was good enough. Sometimes it don't work that way. Oops. That's better. Think about how things are shaped. Make sure the shapes are shaping like the shape. What? What were those noises for, sir? Nice. Sure. Hope it's good news, even if it isn't. I hope you're doing okay then, if it isn't good news. Everyone's allowed to have bad news. Just hope it isn't bad. Need one. Gave me a chin bump. He gave me a chin rub. What a good boy. Almost. Almost. Nice! Congratulations! Me too! Actually, me too. Per request, I will not say who they are. They have been great. Been a very, very good, important person. And I'm glad for you too. I hope they're a good and important person for you as well. I have an anecdote, but I kind of want to save it when I have friends live so that way we can talk about it together because a lot of my anecdotes I want it's a silly anecdote. It's a good anecdote though. It's part of what made me it's good. It's a good anecdote because um it it is what makes it work for me is that ultimately we're just both a bunch of goof asses and it's good for that. Both just a pair of goof asses. And a goof ass thing happened on one of our first uh, dates. So I don't want to talk about it here because it's definitely it's some I've had sex once kind of like it's what the fuck. It's very silly, but it isn't that. It's just very silly and it's kind of cute. To which is why uh, the theme now, the theme of June and the theme now forever is let the girls kiss. Universe, let the girls kiss. DMs. No, I'll make I'll make a story out of it. Don't worry. Like I said, I actually want people to be here so I can tell this not people friends so that way we can have a discussion and a joke fest about it because it was a silly thing that happened. I mean that has never kept me from having the topic brought up multiple times. What's wrong with me? So essentially, uh, we were hanging out. We were hanging out in Monster Hunter because she likes Monster Hunter and I like Monster Hunter. It's already a pretty big plus for me. But it was the first time we had like just played Monster Hunter together just for fun, like alone, because just a bunch of kind of silly, kind of just horny goobers. We kept on trying to make the anime. We kept on trying to make the emotes in Monster Hunter make our characters kiss because we're a bunch of dorks. We're just a bunch of dorks, really. Uh, and we were messing around. Oh God, trying not to break anything. We were just kind of messing around, and there's two emotes. One of which I've always found kind of silly. Um, there's an emote where you can you do like it's I think it's literally called "Lay It On Me," and I think it's supposed to be like a taunt, but it doesn't look like a taunt. Your character like does like a gesture at themselves where they take both their hands in front of their face, like in front of their body, and they gesture like a "come at me, bro" gesture, and then they get down, they fall down back on their back, like they get down on their like they sit on their butt and they fall on their back, and they just do this animation where they pat their chest like "come at me, bro." That has never looked like anything to me but something that would be inappropriate and suggestive. I'm just like, what is this emotion? What are you trying to share here? And naturally, they were the one doing that pose, and then I was trying to. There's another pose in Monster Hunter that is the like despair pose essentially, where you fall down on your hands and knees and in defeat. Except if you were to position yourselves correctly, it would look like sitting on top of each other. Um, but the thing about Monster Hunter is Monster Hunter does not play nice about positioning with emotes. It is like next to impossible to actually position yourself next to anybody else to do that kind of thing. It's really difficult to do. And we were trying to like do all sorts of different ways to make our characters kiss. And we we were trying that one, and it was like near the end of like the hangout session, and I had perfectly placed the position to fall on them to make it look right, and then as soon as I did, as soon as like my hands touched the ground in the emote, they disconnected. So they disappeared. So it was like, no, no, my wife is gone. Like, it was funny. It was silly, but it was a funny moment that I'm just like, we had a really, that's what I want, is I just want to have a silly fun time with a person along with other things, but it's been fun. It's been fun, which is super important. Like, we both had a laugh about it, and like it was just a fun experience. It was silly. Really, that's all I wanted, is a silly girl. Because I am a silly girl. Because I'm sometimes a silly girl. Semi recently, not too long ago. It's been about a month actually, which is super nice. Boy, I'm very bad when it comes to anniversaries. Actually, think about it. It's been about a month, maybe two. So it's been a second. And I won't say who it is until they are okay with me saying who it is. So, but they're a cool person, and I appreciate them. Um, so they're not here now. They're unfortunately sleeping, but well, congratulations, Bread. I'm glad for you. It ain't easy. The market out there is rough, you know? And again, I hope they're good. I hope they're good for you, and I hope you're good for them. Relationships are tough. They are difficult. They're hard for everybody. Don't ever let anyone make you think otherwise. A relationship takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of time. That's a big thing, I think, that I'd be more okay with kind of modern social standards if it felt like that was actually at all feasible. Is they do take a lot of practice, and they should, except a lot of people don't provide it. Be surprised. Kind of like what I was saying earlier. You sometimes, when I was saying about like first drafts, second drafts, I do think relationships you should have multiple first drafts. To which flip side, if it is one of the first, always be like, hey, open to when things change, open to learning, open to figuring things out. We'll need to be more forgiving, especially if it is early relationships. People don't know what they're doing. Even when all of it has been figured out, a lot of it has been figured out. Nobody knows what they're doing, especially when they're first. So, hey, hey, don't question that. Never question that. Trust me. Always be like, you know what? Screw it. You did something right. Always turn that into a I did something right. You might not even know what you did right, but be like, you know what? I did something right. Feel good about that. No, never beat yourself up in that respect. Like, be willing to be like, no, I got this right. If I have to do it again, you'll probably figure it out. Also be okay with that. Like, you ever have to. That's not a fatalist thing, that's a practical thing. Life happens, things happen. But also be willing to be like, you know what? I figured it out once. Did something right. You did something right. Always be proud of yourself when you did something right. And sometimes it does just come down to sometimes you just find somebody who hits all the right things, right? So, uh-huh. Goofballs unite. Goofballs unite. May the goobers take over the world. May the goobers take over the world. Uh-huh. Ain't that just the way? Ain't that just the way? Eh, that's good enough. As I've jokingly said, it's 2025. Sorry, it's 2025. The incredibly eccentric, weirdo femme person gets the T girl. Hell yeah. Hey man, just saying. Incredibly happy right now and making some thoughts. A little bit more open to certain things that I always joked anyways, so at this point I'm like, I've joked about everything that ended up being a thing. What's one more thing? Hell yeah, though. High five. Hold on. High five. Ow. I slapped my hand really hard and it scared my cat. Hell yeah. Now let's hope that the world doesn't end. But you know what? Actually, hot take. What's more important is that we stick together and that we keep positive. Don't let the world, actual state of the world, get to you too much, or else he won't get better. It won't get better. It definitely will not get better if we are just like it's all fucked. So that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here to spread. That's what I'm here to say is like you did something right. You have good things going on in your life. That's a good thing. Keep it up. You're doing good. I'm like Bob Ross if I was probably slightly more gay and a little bit more Gurren Lagann hype about things. I encourage to punch your nearest problem in the face. That's what I have to share. But for real, I'm glad. And I mean, I do too. I honestly do too. Las Vegas went really well overall. I think Las Vegas went well, and it has been good going back. I have been plenty busy. I've been making some changes to certain things as far as the channel is concerned. By the end of the week, I will have a coffee. I have the account set up, but I haven't done anything with it. But I do have a coffee now, so I'll have everything ready for it by the end of the week, I think, which will be nice. That was per request, actually, of a viewer. They were like, "Do you have a coffee?" And I was like, "No, I don't know what the point is." And then they told me the point, and I went, "Okay, I'll make a coffee." So I'm gonna have a coffee soon. See, I thought a coffee was just kind of like a different kind of link tree, and if it is, then I'm going to make like my stuff my coffee page, and then keep the link tree for all my friends because I think will work best. Because I think coffee works best for individuals. Maybe, I don't know. I could switch it over. It doesn't cost me anything, so. But I saw that they have a way to like do like commissions and stuff. And absolutely, if they have a commission system, I can finally get back into commissions in a way that would like make sense. Because part of the thing that frustrates me, I will actually say, I would do more commissions if I knew how to find clients. And I want to make this clear. I am not getting zero amounts of commission requests. I don't know if they're human beings. I don't know if they're randomly scams. That's the problem. I need to figure out how to find clients. That I don't know how to do. I'm trying to figure that out, but that I don't know how to do. That said, when I was in Vegas, I had some good interactions with people. They're like, "You do commissions?" I was like, "Yes, I actually do commissions." One of the problems I have is I don't know who people are. Like, I get commission requests, but I don't feel confident that the people who are requesting commissions are actually people. Like, they don't seem like people. They seem like random bots or scam artists, which do exist. Which rude somebody would take their time to scam an artist out of doing good work. What the hell? Which I have run into. I have run into one guy who I like made a contract, tried to make a contract with them, and then they were doing all this weird stuff that immediately went against the contract, and I was like, nope, this is why you make a contract, guys. But this is why it's frustrating. Is like, how do you actually find clients? How do you find clients? I don't know. Hello, sir. He just really wanted my lap today. You know what? I will take this over the alternative, which is him freaking out constantly. I don't know why yesterday he was particularly bad about it. I have no idea what his deal was. Now he's just wanting to be a bean in my lap. Now he's just wanting to be a nice little guy. Cinnamon rolled into my lap. So yeah, I have no idea, but I hope having a coffee will help. I I know it's popular, and then another thing I heard is that it does do it does two things. It's a good way to tip, and it's a good way to um it doesn't take that much of a cut. It only takes like 5%, which is actually pretty good. You know what? That's quite good. The only downside is it cannot direct connect to my bank, which kind of sucks. But it did mean I had to resurrect my PayPal, which apparently has $4 in it. I'm like, I figured out a way back into my PayPal, and PayPal's weird. PayPal usually doesn't. In my experience, PayPal doesn't unless you pay for something with PayPal. Like if if you pay somebody with PayPal, it costs you money. If you have money in PayPal, it costs nothing. Like you can withdraw from PayPal for free. As far as I know, like I've never run into that. And usually if you pay somebody with PayPal, the payment goes to the payee, not the payer. Or the payer, not the payee. Meant that the other way. I've never noticed a disadvantage for me to have someone pay me through PayPal, because really all it is an extra step to pay me through PayPal, which is like whatever. And unless there's like a minimum, which I haven't hit yet, um, oops, we do, you know, like whatever, whatever. But coffee takes apparently around 5%, which is not bad. That's actually pretty good. Like, I still think that oops, I'm doing that. I still think that Patreon is still probably the best place to support me, at least at the moment, until I can look at the metrics for coffee and what it's doing. But Patreon, I want to say like is maybe a little bit more than 5%. It's like maybe closer. It's not 10% though. It's not 10%, which is quite good in my opinion. Like I think it's like 7%. Because well, it might actually be more. I'm like doing the math in my head now, and I'm like, wait a second. Actually, it might be more than, or it might be around 10%. I don't know. Not off the top of my head. It also could be one of those variable ones where they're like, we do a minimum of like 50 cents and then like a, a, a percentage. I know some places do that. Looking at you, payment processing things. They're always like that. I don't know what it is. Is if you do if you take a payment processor, so like you run something, you run a card through something. To do that takes usually like a base minimum plus a percentage. It's usually like a quarter, 50 cents or something like that. Plus whatever the percentage cut is. Ugh. I could also use Stripe, but I don't use Stripe. I haven't gotten with the times. I don't have a digital card yet. I still use the good old physical card. I don't have a phone card. I did have a phone cardish thing, but yeah, you too. Thanks for stopping by, Brad. Tell your friends. It's good to tell your girlfriend. Do you know a cool person who needs support? I, I do. I appreciate it when people can. Now we start doing. Where's my delete key? I can't see it from here, sir. Where's my delete key? There it is. You little. Healy. Get a little bit of depth, a little bit more zazz to it. This is just for placement. This is just for placement. More water. Trying to drink more water. Because really, like this is already the start of motion. This is all going to be moving. I want it to arc. So I want it to arc this. So I need to think, this is where it started, right? So it's like, I need to get an arc motion where it's like that, right? Like she's doing that. So hold on, I need to turn that on. Yeah, because it should be an arc. She's in here, right? Yeah, it should be like down. Yeah, it should be like an arc like that. Out there. Welcome to the fun part of animation where you're studying motion. The animation comes down to studying motion as much as it comes down to drawing, modeling, whatever it is. You're studying how things move is a big part of animation. Just really want to be thinking about how something kind of like curves or whatever. This is why it's super important to always be considering your kind of arcs of motion and how things arc around and stuff. Boop, boop. Say if that is the center. Say hello to a hard part of animation. How do the eyeballs move? Did I just fill it in? Nope. One of the difficult parts of figuring out how things move is going to be things like this. Where I'm having to figure out how the nose moves around. It, it can't just be random. Maybe something like that. One of the things that I know about motion, I understand, is that your eyes typically move faster than most other parts of your body. Like, and they move in a very specific way. I don't remember where I learned this. I don't remember what the thing is that taught me this, but there's a good piece of like animation motion study when it comes to eyes that when you turn your head moves fluidly, but your eyes don't, if that makes sense. Your eyes and your head actually move independently of one another. Like your eyes actually fixate to a spot for an imperceptible amount of time as your head moves in a subtle, consistent axis. And they kind of like snap left and right and up and down. Your eyes are very, very quick. They're very quick. They're very snappy. Oh boy, I think I made a mistake here. Oh boy, I think I made a mistake here. One of the things I want to do, I want to I want to move. Oops. Take a little dot. Dot. Hope that works. Hold on. Let's see. A. Yay. What are you doing? Creature, what are you doing? And I do think this motion will be a lot better, actually. I think I'll be happier with this motion, too. Honestly, I don't need my keyboard in my lap for this. Uh, Having my cat there actually was kind of nice, because then I didn't have to worry about my keyboard as much. I at least have found the save button, the accidental save button, so at least I'm accidentally saving all the time. So I'm like, I feel like something must have happened, like something weird. Maybe I opened up the wrong version. Maybe I opened a recovery version or something. Because I'm like, how did I not save it all? That feels wrong. So I feel like oftentimes the program itself, Adobe has gotten really good at auto saving. So I do not know actually how that ended up happening. It's mystery, mystery happens. Shit happens. Whatever. Fun. This way. I wanted to eat. It was a little bit fade. I already was like, man, I wanted to redo some of that anyways. I wasn't happy with the timing of it, is what it was. I was not very happy with the timing of it at all. Nope. That. Now, do I want it that quick? I don't know if I do. We'll see. Maybe. What I'm thinking is like really maybe one or two more frames. Like that might be perfect. Yeah. I did do it right. God damn it. God damn it. Yeah, we'll do something like that. Then we're gonna do like that. Like that. I don't want to necessarily want to lose definition on that. Then two. Yeah. Yeah, and I want it to I want it to arc. So around there. Something like that. Like that. Something like this. Have the other hand coming up at the same time. Because I like multiple motion. I like multiple actions at the same time. I don't like when only one thing is happening. I think there's a lot uh, of when you're just starting, just wanting to focus on one motion at a time. When is fair, but in good for learn. But in reality, whenever you make any motion, you're not making just one. You're actually moving multiple things all at the same time. You don't just move one hand, one foot, one whatever. You don't statically ambulate one part of your body at a time. You move multiple simultaneously. Something that takes two hands, you use both hands at the same time and move both hands at the same time. Especially if you're just moving into position to use something. Mm. Tween, tween, tween. Just gotta tween. Sometimes you just gotta try tweening something. What I mean by that is, like, you just try putting something between two things and just say, screw it. Is that good enough? Is that gonna get the effect I want? There's only one way to find out with stuff like that. Might have to reposition the chin on the last frame. Doing largely what I need to. That fill tool makes things easier. Fill tool makes the world go round. Put the line between the lines. There we go. Silos! It is true. It did post to the places, didn't I? You can't, you can't be mad with me. I did it, didn't I? Did I not hit enter? No, I did. No, I did. Ah, you're good. Well, you're in luck. Well, for starters, I am being a lot more liberal with my saving of my work for no good reason. I do think I'm at a better. I feel like this is gonna work better. I think this is gonna look better. I'm a little bit happier with where the piece is going. To do that. Hydrate bot. Also drinking water. Good progress. Only about halfway. I've got about an hour left. Has been a busy day, though. It has been a very busy day. I did get everything done. Well, that's not 100% true. I got a lot of things done. If everything was done, I wouldn't have to do what I'm going to have to do after the stream. But I will get it done, thank God. Ain't that just the way? Fair. It's illegal. It'd be illegal to be this responsible. This responsible or have this many responsibilities. Nobody should. Certainly not people like me. Certainly not people like me, that's for dang sure. I will say one of the things that I've learned from animation that I'm starting to slowly get better at is learning to, in a certain sense, trust yourself, if that makes sense. And to just be like, you can't make certain changes. Like, you can quote unquote draw something better, but that means that now your previous frame you'll have to redraw or do something with. Like, you can't just be like, oh, I made a mistake there. I'll just draw it different and then make it better on this frame. That actually breaks things, believe it or not. You're actually better off, making sure to keep consistent as much as possible. That's one thing that I've learned slowly is trying to keep that consistency. But it is difficult. Bone! I added a bone on accident. Ah, shit. I couldn't add the bone. This character don't have bones. They're drawn by me. Actually, anything I draw doesn't actually have bones in it, guys. Fun fact. Everything I draw lacks bones. It's true. I just it's easier to work with things that don't have bones. And I don't have bones. That's why Sean hates me. I have boneless drawings, okay? Yeah, that definitely is looking better. I like that motion a lot better. Yeah, that's I'll add a couple more frames, but that definitely looks better, I think. I like the smile being wiped from her face. It's very silly. She's like, wait, never mind. So yeah, there definitely need to be more frames in there, but that looks much better. I think that looks better too. I was not super happy with what I did last week time anyways. It didn't look as good. Yeah, I think the arcing motion is there. Definitely. Let's see. Trying to think how I want to depict this kind of motion. I do think this is what I want right here. And as you can tell, I'm being much, much more careful. I feel like I've overall gotten a lot better handle on how to do like certain kinds of like adjustments of things. So like I'm being much more careful with how I actually draw out a line, draw in a line. I'm not just like whoop de whoop de doo. You gotta still do a little bit of care. I gotta do a little bit of care. Something like that. Other hand coming in. Yeah, what I might do, seeing where the chin is going, I might have to redraw the keyframe's chin position. That's fine. That's why. It's why it's still a combination. The keyframe there is a frame of reference. It's where you want things to be necessarily, but sometimes if something like this happens, where you're like me who might make a mistake in their keyframe, you adjust the keyframe. I'll adjust the keyframe. Sometimes a draft is just getting things where you think they'll go and then working from there. Why are you doing that? Why would you do that to your computer, Silos? Why would you literally light your computer on fire? That seems like a particularly bad idea. I don't know. Just something about that gives me the hunch that you don't want to do that to your computer. Perfect. Do I want a pouty face? I don't know. Leave it on pouty for now. Just have to be patient. Just have to take the time to pay attention to where you're putting a line. You have to put the lines one line at a time. The only things I need to adjust on the green layer is I need the face to move. Her chin goes out to the wrong direction. And her eyebrows need to be changed probably a little bit. But that's really it. Nose is good. Good. Hair is good. There we go. And look, I think I made more progress than I did last time, so. Ah. When you're done lighting your computer on fire. Oh, well, I hope your computer survives. Don't explode your GPU trying to render fire. Why can't you just use flame.gif like everybody else? Even Resident Evil 4 used GIF for fire. I mean, that's some... Using a 2D sprite for fire is always something that both I've found hilarious and clever for being able to render a very complicated thing. Very few things actually render fire. Nothing really truly renders fire. Most of the time, fire is a two-dimensional sprite that has the illusion of a fire effect. And I kind of get it. How do you render fire? Fire isn't a thing. Fire is kind of flat by nature. Fire doesn't really have a shape in some ways. It's more like your brain trying to process what's in front of you. In my opinion, I think fire is a weird. It's obviously not illusion. Fire is real. Don't stick your hand in the fire being like, Canary said that fire isn't real. It's like, no, fire is real. It's a visual effect that's hard for your brain to process, I think. I think it's intentionally difficult for your brain to process fire because fire isn't a physical object. It's a visual interpretation of heat. How do you make a shape out of that? It doesn't really. And then it moves a lot, like a lot. So fire is fascinating in how a lot of games and a lot of media decide to emulate and illustrate fire because fire itself is not like you can't grab fire. You can grab fire attached to something, but you can't grab fire itself and pick it up and move it around. It doesn't like work with planes or anything, as far as I can tell. Or maybe I just don't know. I haven't. Fire scares me. Fire scares me. It should. Why would it not? It's fire. It's hot. It burns my hands when I try to touch it. Ugg says that the fire is good, but I don't believe him. Hurts me. If fire's so good, why does it decide to burn off my flesh? Prometheus is full of shit. I forgot to do it again. Oops. Weird. I don't know why that makes her hand look so. Just a little bit. Oops. Just curious. How does that move? Do I need a lot more frames? We'll see. And I mean, I can't judge. A lot of this is 100% overkill because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Sometimes overkill just happens because you have no idea what you're doing. Sometimes that's all that it takes to have overkill is to be like, I don't fucking know what I'm doing. Sometimes it shows more expertise to know how to do something with less. It takes a lot more practice and patience and restraint to know what to do with less. Which I sometimes think, and that's not to say that it goes both ways. Once you do know how to do something with less, then you can go back to the opposite side of the spectrum to be able to do anything with the budget of high heaven and hell at your hands. But I do think there's the two opposites of the spectrum require a lot of expertise, and a lot of people don't realize that and immediately think that they if they had just all the resources available to them, they could do anything. And that's just not true. That's just not true. Because you have to know both sides. You have to know where to show restraint and where to go over the top. That takes a lot of time and practice and patience and study and trying to figure things out. And that's to say that you can do it. Everyone can do it. But I think people think that just the ideas are enough. And I think most people could agree no, ideas are not just enough. Everybody has ideas. I have ideas all the time. Once you get to application, that's where it gets hard, and a lot of people have a hard time, I think. Which is fair. Application is difficult to do. So, but all of that to say, like, still have to try, right? Like if you care about something, you still got to give it a shot sometimes to be able to be like, okay, be like, okay. Going to be just a little bit. Something like that, maybe. Crackers. Heck. Hearing something outside that's like kind of sus. I'm like, I mean, I guess it's close to the 4th of July, but it's not the 4th of July. That's not, it's freaking, it's the middle of the week. It's Wednesday. Eh, there. As of 12 noon today, you are now closer to 2050 than you are to 2000. Yeah. Wrong. Just hoping that we get there. We're closer to it, but that doesn't mean that we're. But hey, like I said before, don't let despair. Do not let despair trouble your heart. Never give up. Never give up. Genuinely, don't give up. Everybody out there, remember, we are genuinely in this together, and if you give a shit about anything, do not give up and take care of each other. Place will always be a place for that as well, as long as it can exist. As long as I'm still breathing, it will exist. Those are definitely people setting off fireworks. I don't know why. Friday, it's Wednesday. You still got 2 more days, guys. You need to save those. You're gonna run out of ammo. Reminds me, I guess if that's, you know what? We'll see. I just had the thought. I was like, actually, wait a second. July 4th is Friday. Fuck. I might stay home. We'll see. And then, well, as in, I might not do something else. And then, I'll see. We'll see. If that happens, I have some ideas on some stuff that I could do instead. Darn! We're not quite in time. Boy, if I would have been able to get the popper done for 4th of July, that would have been perfect. But I don't think I'm going to get that. I think that'll actually be next time. I think next time we will be close to the actual pop. I think next week we'll actually be able to draw the pop. I think. Just gonna do something like that. So I might have to fix that. I might have to fix her eyes again. This is what I'm going to be doing in my off stream. Instead of being a dinosaur, even though I really want to be a dinosaur. Playing Incursion, which has kind of stolen my time a little bit. There are too many video games, and some of them are just dumb. Fun for it, damn it. That's better. And this is kind of a silly thing I've found with my pose to pose, which not everyone's pose to pose works the same. Is that sometimes I'll notice like, yeah, I'll do a pose to pose, but then it just turns out that my pose that I was going to was just not right. So I'm gonna have to fix it. But hey, it gave me a reference point to get to, and that's what's important. Be willing to throw away your art. Always be willing to throw away your art. Sometimes you make mistakes. Sometimes you make mistakes. Sometimes you make something that you're just not vibing with you. But that's okay because you still had to go through the process of noodling around to be like, this wasn't working. Sometimes you have to noodle around and find out, yeah, this didn't work. Throw away your art. Throw away your art. Always throw away your art. Always throw away your art. Help you make better. Bob Ross even has it. He talks about all the time about how he would just go to a he would set up a canvas and then he would just to practice he would fill the canvas with trees, mountains, or whatever it was, whatever his subject he was wanting to practice. And then when he was done, when he filled it all the way up, he'd scrape it clean and then do it again. Throw away your art. It's not about preservation when it comes to certain kinds of practice. It's just about training. It's just about training. Even Bob Ross threw his art away. Bob Ross can throw his art away. You can throw your art away too. Don't get too attached. It's so funny. There is a kind of, I think, like golden rule thing about being an illustrator or an animator or anyone who makes anything to a certain extent of not to get too attached to your work. There's something weird about that. You actually death of the artist can exist, but ironically artists get to that conclusion themselves. They don't want to be attached to their art. detach yourself from your art oftentimes is seemingly the best way to be around your own art, honestly. Hello. Oh man, your name is so dark for me. Hey, time. I had to really get in there. I was like, I can kind of read that. My old achy eyes. How's it going? We're making progress again, but I had to redo some of the work I did, but that's okay. So yeah, like this chin. Look at how big that chin got, actually. Oops. More like that, actually. Just need to use the tool. Use the whole tool. Use it decisively. Figuring out how to use a tool decisively helps a lot, too. It would help. It does help kind of eliminate a lot of those artifacts I end up having a lot of times. Thank you. Hey, it is scary, but always remember that if look at it this way. Animation existed before I started doing it and before anyone started doing it. And they had way worse tools to work with. So always remember that. Animation is hard, but anything that is difficult can still be done. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must go throw myself off of a cliff. Because I have decided to do animation in the year of 2022. I've decided to do hand-drawn frame-by-frame animation in the year 2022 or 2025. Man, I wish it was 3 years ago and I was starting to do animation then. Is that how my avatar moves? Kind of. I wish, actually. My little guy in the bottom right here is just through a screen, through a camera capture program. I am very happy with this motion, though. I feel like last time I was really struggling. I don't know why I was struggling so bad, but I think this is a much better motion than I have right now. Probably need to do one more frame to get the hand there, and then it'll be good. Yeah, that motion works so much better. Like 1,000 times better, actually. I would say. And she is kind of my avatar. She's another one of my avatars. This has kind of been a soft this character has been a soft piece of brand, a soft mascot for the channel for a while. I always like to say that the main mascots of my channel are me, this guy down here, Hydrate Man, who does appear a lot more than Canary does, and then Canary herself. She's just a character I made a while ago, actually, um, that I've just kind of held on to. As I say it, he's here, my second favorite mascot. Appreciate you, Hydrate Man, always. And really, the biggest thing that I can offer for the advantage of animation that might seem counterintuitive, even it might be like, how is that an advantage? The good thing about animation is the thing that is maybe the scariest about animation, and that is a simple fact that animation makes you draw a bunch. So if you've ever felt like, at least again, from my frame of reference, I have been in a place that I was like, I feel like I could do animation, but part of the thing keeping me from doing animation as much is the idea that I have to draw a bunch, and I feel like my drawing consistency wasn't good enough at one point. I thought I was like, like it would be nice to be able to animate, but having to draw that much, like I can barely do consistent drawings anyways. I feel like anytime I did something good or right was a little bit of luck and a little bit of happenstance anyways, regardless of how much skill actually went into it. Which is partly also a bit of confidence. You also need to build up your confidence when it comes to any craft that you're trying to proceed to do or master or participate in, takes time. It's frickin' circle. Okay. This circle is hurting me. Circle is dead. There. But, yeah, animation is really hard. Animation is really difficult in a lot of ways. And in a lot of ways. But the one thing that actually makes it really good is that by necessity you have to draw a bunch. So no matter what, if you start getting into animation in a certain strange sense, I think it will always make you better at drawing if you start animating, because by nature you have to start practicing more drawing. You do, because you'll be doing a lot of it no matter what. And I do think that, especially if you're doing like me, if you're doing 2D animation, um, you will begin doing a lot more of the same drawing over and over again because you'll have to. That work? Gonna have to. That way. Can't rush. You can't rush. Golden rule, especially with art. Golden rule with art. You still can't rush. Rush art, you'll make mistakes. There we go. Gotta close my lines. Always gotta close my lines. Always forget to close my lines. Still not. Oh yeah, technically do not. Was like, that should have worked. Always close. Always remember to close your lines, kids. Follow through and close your lines. There, perfect. The important thing for me to remember is the follow through. And it really does help train your kind of like your coordination to be able to make a motion with your hand consistently over and over again. Especially if you're looking to muscle train that kind of motion. You have to really sit down and kind of like be patient with yourself to make that kind of contiguous motion over and over and over again. There we go. Almost. Almost. This is how you get faster at anything. No. Combination of getting comfortable enough to make certain kinds of motions over and over again, and also giving yourself the time to take things slow. Sometimes slowing down is the fastest thing you can do, believe it or not. That's why I would say for anybody out there studying guys like Bob Ross, don't worry about your own speed. He doesn't worry about it either. I would say like he's there to show you how he does something, and I do think he full well intends that if you are really really getting into it, or if you're like trying to do exactly what he's doing, that you should maybe pause to see like how he did something, or even go back and rewatch how he did certain things. Flip side, you watch enough of his stuff, you get a fair idea of how he goes about his process and stuff like that. But it's never just done in one simple stroke. Nothing ever is. I like how that I like how the shoulders shift on that actually a lot. It looks nice. Yeah, I need to do probably one more frame. One more frame, but that motion looks a lot better than it did before. Before it just was way too it was way too point A to point B. There was no arc. I needed to add more arc to it and a little bit more acceleration. I needed an arc and a little bit more acceleration. And you get that swooping feeling of emotion of an actual motion instead of what it was kind of tweening. I kind of made it tween like in a traditional sense where it just moved object A from point A to point B. That's what a tween is you have point A, point B, object at point A, you draw a line from point A to point B, object moves from point A to point B in a straight line. That's traditional tweening. That's what a tween technically is. And I kind of did that. I was like, it's not. It's too static. It's too in place. And I think this works much better. I think this works much, much better. Sometimes throw away your art. Sometimes you got to try something and say that didn't work and try it again as quickly as possible too. Sometimes being able to throw something away quickly can make a huge difference in a thing. So thank you, universe. Thank you, whatever caused me not to save that and make me draw it again. It was for the best. Whatever. I'll take it. Alright, I think I can do one more frame. Be good for today. Then we're going to, so this is the tough part. Got kind of like some rotation here. Sometimes Toho music cracks me up. You're talking about the balls. I'm gonna do something more like that. Just to give it a little bit more. Yeah, a little bit more shape. That was some issue there. Draw the line all the way out. We draw the line all out. About every frame, ideally speaking, every frame shouldn't take me more than 5 minutes to draw. Even if you did a frame every minute, even if you did a frame every minute, this would still be 271 minutes of drawing at a minimum if I drew every frame in a minute. 271 minutes. That's still two. Oh my god, I have to do math here. That's still almost. Nope, it is. That is still at least 4 hours, 4.5 hours of work, if I could do the math right, I think. This is 271 frames. I'm at frame 271. Divide that by 2. So we technically divide that by 2. That gives us 135. That's 135 minutes. So about 2 hours. That's still 2 hours of work if you did a frame a minute. And this is why and this is why there's a literal job title for things like tweener. Animation takes a lot of animation takes a full team. You have some people doing tweens, you have some people doing keyframes, probably mainly the director and producer working together to make tweens. Like, oh shit, guys first. I do think I've found a good way to do the eyes, which is really nice. Which I kind of struggled with in this piece a little bit. I struggled with the eyes quite a bit, actually. I don't know why that line didn't work. Guess I guess my computer just didn't like that line for some reason. Guess Animate just didn't like that line. Sometimes Animate just doesn't like the lines I make, and I don't know why. There we go. Love you, Toho Jazz. Love you, Toho Jazz. I don't know why I stop early every time sometimes. It's a very strange habit that I have where I just stop the line before it needs to go. I don't terminate it quite. I actually lack the follow through sometimes. I don't know why. I think it's like a weird, like, just accident thing that I do sometimes. I just am not all the way following through on something, which, happens. At least I'm aware of it. no matter what, I feel like this. I feel like this frame, or I feel like this session, I did a much better job than last time, even though I had to redo a lot of work. Ooh. Stop it. That's one of my. I don't know why that happens sometimes. I don't know why my lines like get all messed up. Like it knows what it wants my lines to be. I'm like, that's not even close, man. That's not even close, dog. Why'd you do that? There we go. Much better. I need to see. Wait, that's. This is where I need to use back and forth. Oh, Henry, what you want? Oh, Henry, wait a few minutes. More like down there. There. Perfect. Perfect. Look at her go. Yeah, that's perfect. Actually, there might be like one settle. I might like do a frame after it, like a settling frame. But yeah, that looks really really good. That looks quite good. I think that's where we'll call it probably for today. Yeah. Hell yeah. Much better. I like that much better. I was not happy with it last time anyways. I feel like I messed up my face. I think I messed up some stuff. Like this looks much more solid in my opinion. Yeah, no, that's much better. I think Henry needs to go outside. Or he just needs attention because he's a Henry and Henry is never he's a bottomless pit of attention. Henry, Henry. You can't hear him. He's being a big crybaby. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and call it there. So, thank you for joining everybody. Before we go, we're going to do one more thing. We're going to make one more picture before we go. If you want to participate, all you got to do is type in chat. Whatever chat says, I will also use as a reference. And then I'll make an image and then we'll share the image before we rate out. So, uh he drew it again but better. He drew it again but better. with an Australian alligator clamped to his leg. Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know what to do. I know what to do with that. Let me make sure. I knew it was gonna do there. I knew it. I knew it. I'll probably, well, in the future it won't do this. Here, I just need to hide this. Don't look at this, guys. This isn't for you. You can't see this. Where is my mouse? There's my mouse. Henry, give me a minute. Yeah, I'm just gonna let Henry outside. I'll be right back. Wait, go outside, buddy. Go outside. He's gonna be outside for a minute. I'll go let him in when I'm done. But we'll do that. Ooh, we'll do that prompt before we raid out. Don't worry, I have a plan. So stick around to the very end. We also do a bit of closing bit. We do raid after every stream, so that way the vampires in our chat can keep watching. So everybody else out there, make sure to go lock your doors and windows, because it's almost lunchtime for vampires. Thank you for joining, everybody. Hope you had a good time and you enjoyed the show. If you're able to join the live show, thank you for stopping by and chatting and watching. If you're watching this in the future, thank you for taking the time to going back or rewatching the VOD. We appreciate it. If you're out there and you enjoyed this and you want to see more of what we're up to, I recommend scrolling down below and following or clicking any of the links. There's a link to an Instagram, a Facebook, a Twitter, and a Discord. We post when we go live on any one of those platforms, as well as anything else that we're up to, and just generally come hang out with the rest of the community there. Good time on the Discord. Speaking of which, a shout out to our community there and everyone who follows. You guys are a wonderful audience and we appreciate you. If we do anything particularly entertaining or noteworthy, feel free to clip it and share it on the internet. Just make sure also hashtag with MCCanary or link it back to the stream so people can find more of the good stuff we do here. And if you want to see the stream grow, you gotta let people know. I appreciate that people have been talking about the stream and I encourage you guys to do it more. It does help us out and it's just super rad that you guys have been willing to do that. So go tell people about the stream. Go tell your friends about the stream. I won't. And as always, a huge thank you to all of our supporters on Patreon and Twitch. Your generosity allows us to continue to expand the stream, as well as take on more projects. The stream would not be made possible without viewers like you. So we thank you. If you want to see your name added to this list, as well as a couple other benefits you could get, you could always subscribe directly on Twitch or check out the Patreon page here. It'll show you everything that you can get, and any amount is always appreciated. Once again, thank you. Coffee soon. I will make a coffee soon, and then I'll have to figure out how to work that into the ending bit, and I don't know how that's going to work, so thank you for the work that you've given me to do. I'm not mad about it. Somebody literally wants to give me money. And as always, a huge thank you to all. Thank you to our mods who do a wonderful job holding back the robot army from becoming famous. Thank you everybody for coming and hanging out. I hope you had a good time. I hope you enjoyed watching me do more animation. I'm going to save it again one more time to make sure it saves. Save. 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 It's saved. Go check out the rest of our friends in Goblin Entertainment. That link tree that I'm about to post. That link tree has links to everyone's channels and everything that they've done and they've been up to, and the rest of my stuff here, which has everything that I post to. So you should go check everybody out in Goblin Entertainment. And stick around. We'll be going saying hi to Alistair. They just had an update to their model. I think like less than a month ago. They are playing through Sly 3. They're just a super rad person. So everybody go say hi to them. But before we do, I'm going to do one last thing. One last thing. We're going to do one last thing. Oops. Nope. Oops. No. That's not what I wanted. All right. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. Perfect. Oh shit. Yeah, I like this bit. This is a good bit. This bit gets to stay, guys. So stick around for the raid. We'll stick around. Everybody go say hi to Alistair. Otherwise, have yourselves a good evening. Take it easy. And remember, if you're gonna draw for any reason, just have fun. Always remember, draw to have fun. You can tell where I started to panic. This bit stays. This bit stays. I'm trying to decide. I think I'm like 50-50 on whether or not I do the typing first or at the end. I think I should always do it at the end, so that way I'm like trying to beat the buzzer on it and just get as much text as I can in there, to really like pressure me to type faster. But I think it came out. I think this came out good. Remember, everyone read if you are interested in animation, read the Animator Survival Kit. It's really good. It will help a lot, and it might even save your life. Or you might just find it entertaining because he does a good job.